Listen carefully, my beloved soul, before anything else is spoken, before the weight of this message settles into your spirit. I ask you in reverence and obedience, type, "I receive this," in the comments as an act of faith, not for people but before heaven. Like this video as a quiet agreement with what God is releasing. Subscribe to this channel as a covering so you do not miss what the Spirit will speak again. And click the bell as a symbol that you are awake, alert, and ready for divine instruction. Do this gently, prayerfully, because this moment is holy and this word did not come by accident, it came by assignment. By God's grace, the love you've been waiting for is now very close, and I do not say that lightly, I say it with trembling reverence, because heaven does not speak prematurely, and God does not tease his children with false hope. Hear this, my beloved soul, what you have been crying out for in silence, what you stopped mentioning because the waiting became too heavy, what you told yourself you had accepted would never happen, has already begun moving toward you, quietly, intentionally, under divine command. This is not a coincidence, you were led here on purpose. Heaven is watching this moment, God himself is leaning close to your heart, and there is something you must understand before your emotions rush ahead of your discernment. The nearness of this love is not about time alone, it is about readiness, alignment, and grace, and by grace, not by striving, not by forcing, not by chasing, what you have waited for is now approaching. My beloved soul, God has not forgotten you. Even when the days felt long and the nights felt endless, even when you questioned if you had misunderstood his promise, even when you watched others receive what you were still praying for, heaven recorded every tear, every surrender, every moment you chose faith over bitterness, and the word says in Psalm 37 verse 7, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him." And you did, even when it hurt, even when it was lonely. Listen carefully, because what I am about to say is weighty. The waiting season was not punishment, it was preparation, it was healing you in places you didn't know were still bleeding, it was softening areas that had grown guarded, it was teaching your spirit how to recognize love that comes from God and not from fear. And now, because the work has been done, because you chose surrender over control, heaven has released the next chapter. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because the nearness of this love is not loud, it is not chaotic, it is gentle, steady, and holy. It is the kind of love that does not rush in to take, but arrives to build, to honor, to stay, and this is why God waited, not because you were unworthy, but because he was protecting you from loving someone before you were healed enough to receive love without losing yourself. Hear this. The silence you endured was not empty, it was full of God's hands shaping what you could not yet see, and Isaiah 60 verse 22 whispers over your life, when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen, and the time is not coming, it is unfolding now, subtly, quietly, but undeniably. You have changed, and you may not even realize how much. You no longer beg for crumbs, you no longer settle for half love, you no longer confuse intensity with intimacy, you learned how to be alone without being abandoned, you learned how to love God deeply without resenting him for the delay, and heaven noticed, angels took note, and God smiled over your endurance. This is not the same you who first prayed that prayer, and that is why the answer looks different, feels safer, feels calmer, feels more aligned with peace than with chaos, because God does not bring love to replace your emptiness. He brings love to walk beside your wholeness, and you are more whole now than you have ever been. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because the closeness of this love is not just about romance, it is about restoration, it is about God showing you that he is faithful to complete what he promised, that your story did not stall in the waiting, it was being refined, and Romans 8 verse 25 reminds us, but if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait for it patiently, and your patience has reached heaven's threshold. My beloved soul, I sense your fear even as hope rises, you are afraid to believe again, afraid to open your heart after guarding it for so long, afraid that expecting something beautiful might lead to disappointment, but hear this gently: fear is not a warning from God, it is a residue from past wounds, and God is not asking you to leap blindly, He is asking you to trust His character. The love that is approaching you is not coming to reopen old scars, it is coming to honor your boundaries, to respect your healing, to meet you where you are now, not where you were, and this is why it feels unfamiliar, because it is not rooted in anxiety, it is rooted in peace, and Philippians 4 verse 7 promises, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Stay with me till the end, my beloved soul, do not rush away from this moment, because what God is revealing now will anchor you when the blessing arrives. The nearness of love does not always announce itself with fireworks, sometimes it shows up as calm, as clarity, as a quiet knowing that something has shifted, and you may have already felt it, a soft stirring, a gentle readiness, a sense that the long season is closing. Heaven is watching how you respond now, not to test you, but to guide you, because when love arrives by God's grace, it requires wisdom to receive it without fear, discernment to recognize it without suspicion, and humility to accept that God's way is often gentler than our expectations. You were led here on purpose because your spirit needed confirmation, and God, in His kindness, is whispering, you are not behind, you did not miss your moment, you were not overlooked, you were being aligned, and the person meant to love you is also being prepared, shaped, and positioned, even now. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because the next thing heaven reveals will steady your heart. The waiting taught you how to pray without demanding, how to hope without clinging, how to surrender outcomes while trusting God's heart, and these are the very qualities that make room for lasting love. The tears you cried in secret were not wasted, they softened the soil of your heart, making it fertile for something real, something mutual, something enduring, and Psalm 126 verse 5 says, "Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy, and joy is closer than you think." Listen carefully, the love you have been waiting for is not delayed, it is approaching at the pace of protection, not haste, and when it arrives, you will recognize it not by butterflies alone, but by peace, safety, and a sense of home you have never known before. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because God wants you to know that this love will not compete with Him, it will draw you closer to Him, it will not drain you, it will strengthen you, and it will not confuse you, it will confirm you. My beloved soul, the final stretch of waiting often feels the hardest, because hope begins to rise again, and vulnerability feels risky, but hear this, the resistance you feel is not a sign to retreat, it is a sign that something real is near, and your heart is waking up after a long rest. God's grace has covered every misstep, every moment you thought you ruined your chances, every time you doubted yourself, grace has been holding the door open, and now that door is beginning to move, slowly, steadily, under heaven's hand. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because the love coming toward you is not random, it is intentional, prayed over, and aligned with your calling, and Ecclesiastes 3 verse 11 reminds us, He has made everything beautiful in its time, including this, especially this. My beloved soul, as this message comes to a close, I speak peace over your heart, assurance over your mind, and gentle expectation over your spirit. What you prayed for is not far, it is very close, closer than you realize, moving quietly by God's grace, and when it arrives, you will know that the waiting was worth it, that the silence had purpose, and that God was faithful all along. My beloved soul, breathe for a moment and remain present, because heaven is still speaking, and this continuation is not an extension by chance, it is an extension by design. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, not because it is loud, but because it is true, and truth has weight when it lands in a prepared heart. Listen carefully, there was a moment in your life when you stopped asking God for love the way you once did, not because you stopped wanting it, but because you grew tired of hoping with disappointment attached. You told yourself you were fine, you learned to function, to smile, to be strong, but deep within, there was still a quiet ache, a holy desire placed there by God Himself, and He never intended for you to bury it forever. Heaven is watching how gently God is reawakening that part of you now, not forcing it open, not tearing down walls violently, but knocking softly, patiently, the way Revelation 3 verse 20 describes, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock," and just as He knocks at the door of your heart, He is also opening the door of alignment for the love that is meant to meet you on the other side. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because understanding this will protect you from fear when love begins to show itself. The nearness of this love does not mean everything will suddenly feel perfect, it means God is inviting you to walk forward with Him, trusting that He has gone ahead of you, clearing what you could not clear on your own. You may have wondered if you waited too long, if you healed too much, if you became too independent. Hear this clearly: you did not become too much for love, you became ready for healthy love, the kind that does not feel threatened by your strength, the kind that does not ask you to shrink to be chosen, the kind that sees your independence not as distance, but as depth. God has not forgotten you, and He has not forgotten the details of your heart. He knows what you can no longer tolerate, what you quietly need, what you deserve without having to beg, and Psalm 84 verse 11 declares, "No good thing does He withhold from those who walk uprightly," and you have walked uprightly, even when it cost you companionship. Stay with me till the end, my beloved soul, because this part matters deeply. The love that is close is not coming to complete you, it is coming to complement the work God has already done in you, and this is why it will feel different from past connections. It will not trigger old patterns, it will not awaken old fears, it will invite you into rest. There is a calm forming around your spirit, a subtle settling, and this is one of heaven's signs. Anxiety fades when alignment approaches, striving quiets when grace steps in, and you may find yourself no longer chasing, no longer checking, no longer forcing timelines, because something in you knows that God is handling what you once tried to control. My beloved soul, do not leave yet. Heaven has more to reveal. The nearness of love often brings reflection. You may revisit old memories, old prayers, old versions of yourself, not to reopen wounds, but to witness how far God has brought you, and this reflection is not regression, it is closure. The seasons where nothing seemed to move were not stagnant, they were sacred. God was removing attachments that would have complicated the blessing, He was loosening expectations that were too small, and He was teaching you how to discern peace over passion, truth over fantasy, presence over performance. Listen carefully, the person meant for you is not perfect, but they are aligned, they are not flawless, but they are faithful, and most importantly, they are capable of meeting you in the place God has brought you to, not pulling you back into who you used to be, but walking with you into who you are becoming. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because God wants to settle one more fear, the fear that love will require you to lose yourself again. Hear this clearly, the love coming by God's grace will honor your voice, your boundaries, your calling. It will not compete with your purpose, it will support it. You were led here on purpose to hear this reassurance. Heaven is watching your heart soften again, and God is pleased, because softness after disappointment is not weakness, it is courage, and Isaiah 43 verse 19 reminds you, "See, I am doing a new thing, now it springs up, do you not perceive it?" And yes, deep down, you do perceive it. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment. The final stretch of waiting is often marked by stillness, not chaos, by quiet expectation, not desperation, and this stillness is holy ground. It is where trust replaces tension, and faith replaces fear. The love you have been waiting for is very close, closer than words can fully describe, not because of chance, but because God's timing is precise, intentional, and kind, and when it arrives, you will understand why nothing else worked, why doors closed, why silence lingered, because God was saving you for something that could last. As this message gently comes to its final breath, I speak this prophetic declaration over you. By God's grace, what you have prayed for in tears is approaching in peace, what you hoped for in faith is aligning in truth, and what you waited for in patience is arriving with purpose. Rest now, my beloved soul, trust deeply, heaven is near, love is near, and God is faithful. My beloved soul, remain still a little longer, do not rush away from this sacred space, because heaven is yet unfolding its final confirmations, and if you stay with me till the end, something deep within you will finally settle, the kind of settling that does not come from explanations, but from divine assurance. Listen carefully, there is a reason this message keeps finding its way back to you, a reason your spirit keeps leaning in instead of turning away. Heaven is confirming what God has already been whispering to you in quiet moments, in sudden peace, in unexpected hope, that the chapter of waiting is not ending in disappointment, it is ending in fulfillment. You may not see the full picture yet, but you can feel the shift, and that feeling is not imagination, it is discernment awakening, it is your spirit recognizing that something long prayed for is no longer distant, no longer abstract, but near, tangible, and ordained. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because what I am about to speak is meant to heal the last hidden doubt. You were never forgotten during the delay, you were never overlooked in heaven's timing. God saw you when you smiled through pain, He heard you when you prayed without words, and He honored you when you chose faith even while feeling unseen. There were nights when you asked God to remove the desire altogether if it was never going to be fulfilled, and heaven heard that prayer too, not as a lack of faith, but as exhaustion, and God, in His mercy, did not remove the desire, He refined it, He purified it, He aligned it with His will so that when it arrives, it will not harm you, it will bless you. Stay with me till the end, my beloved soul, because this next truth matters. Love that comes by God's grace does not rush in to impress, it arrives with consistency, with respect, with emotional safety, and you will notice that what once excited your wounds no longer excites your spirit, because you have grown, and growth changes what feels attractive. Heaven is watching as your heart learns to rest again, as your expectations soften into trust, and this resting is not giving up, it is handing over control to the one who sees beyond what you can imagine. Proverbs 3 verse 5 reminds you, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, and now, you are finally doing that. My beloved soul, do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal. The nearness of this love will also bring clarity about what you no longer need to entertain, what conversations to release, what emotional doors to gently close, not in anger, not in fear, but in wisdom, because you are making room for something real. You were led here on purpose to hear this. God is not asking you to prepare by striving, He is asking you to prepare by resting, by trusting, by allowing your heart to stay open without being anxious, because the love coming toward you will meet you in peace, not panic. There is a divine calm surrounding you now, and this calm is a sign. Storms announce urgency, peace announces alignment, and alignment is what heaven has been orchestrating all along, even when you could not see the movement. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because the final word heaven wants you to carry is this: you are safe to hope again, safe to believe again, safe to receive again, not because people have changed, but because God has gone before you, and His grace is covering every step. The love you have been waiting for is very close, not because of chance meetings or perfect timing, but because God's promise does not return void. Isaiah 55 verse 11 declares that what He speaks will accomplish what He desires, and this promise over your heart is accomplishing its purpose now. As this message reaches its sacred close, I leave you with peace that surpasses understanding, faith that steadies your heart, and gentle expectation that does not strain your spirit. Rest now, my beloved soul, heaven has heard you, God has answered you, and by His grace, the love you've been waiting for is near, very near. My beloved soul, remain with me, do not let your spirit drift, because what heaven is releasing now is meant to complete what has been stirring inside you, and if you stay till the end, the final sealing will bring rest to places that have been weary for far too long. Listen carefully, there is a sacred reason God allowed you to become tired of chasing, tired of proving, tired of waiting with clenched fists, because clenched hands cannot receive gifts, and the season you are in now is not about effort, it is about openness, it is about trust that does not demand signs every hour, but rests in quiet assurance. Heaven is watching the way your heart has softened without becoming weak, the way you learned to love God without bargaining, the way you chose dignity over desperation, and this choice has positioned you perfectly for what is near, because love sent by God does not respond to striving, it responds to surrender. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because understanding this will protect your heart. The love that is approaching you will not feel like emotional labor, it will not require you to constantly explain your worth, it will not keep you guessing about where you stand, instead, it will meet you with clarity, consistency, and mutual effort. You may have grown accustomed to disappointment, so hope feels unfamiliar now, but hear this gently, unfamiliar does not mean unsafe, sometimes unfamiliar means healed, sometimes unfamiliar means aligned, sometimes unfamiliar means God has removed chaos so peace can finally feel normal. God has not forgotten you, even in moments you forgot how to hope, even when you told yourself you were done wanting, heaven recorded your obedience, your restraint, your patience, and the word says in Lamentations 3 verse 25, "The Lord is good to those who wait for him, and goodness is approaching your door." Stay with me till the end, my beloved soul, because the waiting taught you discernment. You can now sense when something is rushed, when words are empty, when intentions are unclear, and this discernment will be a gift when love arrives, because it will allow you to recognize truth without suspicion. The nearness of this love may show itself quietly at first, through conversations that feel easy, through presence that feels safe, through moments where you are not trying to impress or perform, and this ease is not boredom, it is compatibility rooted in peace. My beloved soul, do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, the love that is close will honor your pace, your healing, your boundaries, it will not rush intimacy to satisfy insecurity, it will allow trust to build naturally, because God's love never pressures, it reassures. You were led here on purpose because your spirit needed this confirmation. God knows that just when the promise is near, doubt often speaks louder, reminding you of past pain, whispering that it might not last. But hear this truth, the past does not get to prophesy your future. Heaven is watching as God rewrites your expectations, not lowering them, but purifying them, removing fantasies that could not sustain reality, and replacing them with hope grounded in truth, stability, and shared values. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because the final stretch of waiting is often misunderstood. It feels like stillness, but it is actually convergence. It is when all the pieces God has been moving separately begin to align, unseen, but precisely. There may be days now where you feel strangely calm about love, less anxious, less restless, and this calm is not resignation, it is readiness. It is the sign that your heart is no longer searching for love to fix wounds, but ready to share life from a place of wholeness. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because heaven wants you to know that when this love arrives, it will not replace God, it will reflect Him, it will not pull you away from prayer, it will draw you deeper into gratitude. God has been protecting you from counterfeit connections, from relationships that would have delayed your healing, from attachments that looked promising but lacked alignment, and every closed door was an act of mercy, even when it felt like rejection. My beloved soul, do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal. The love coming toward you has also known waiting, has also known disappointment, has also known growth, and when two prepared hearts meet, the connection is not chaotic, it is familiar, like recognition rather than discovery. You may notice that you are no longer impressed by surface-level charm, no longer moved by intensity without depth. This is because God has trained your heart to look for fruit, not fireworks, and fruit takes time, patience, and faith. Listen carefully, the nearness of this love does not mean perfection, it means partnership, two imperfect people choosing truth, growth, and grace, and this choice will be supported by God, because it aligns with His design for love. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment. The final confirmation heaven wants to give you is this: you are not late, you are not behind, you are right on time for what God has prepared, and your story is unfolding exactly as it should. There will come a moment when you realize the waiting season did not steal your joy, it strengthened it, it did not harden your heart, it refined it, and it did not delay your life, it prepared it for something that can endure. Stay with me till the end, because this last word is meant to settle your spirit. The love you have been waiting for is not hovering in uncertainty, it is moving with intention, guided by God's hand, and protected by His grace. As heaven gently closes this message, I speak this final prophetic assurance over you: by God's grace, the longing you carried is being met, the prayer you whispered is being answered, the hope you guarded is being fulfilled. Rest now, my beloved soul, trust deeply, remain open, because the love you've been waiting for is not far away, it is very close, and peace will accompany its arrival. Type Amen.